Welcome into Game Changers. Mike Cunha alongside Kim Camper.
Still no Goldie here?
Goldie is he's a bit of a fashion icon.
Well, I should have brought
superstar.
I saw a major periodical today.
Yes.
Aventura magazine. Goldie prominently on talking about fashion. Now we talk about fashion. Look what he's wearing right now.
I mean, he came ready. The turtleneck.
The turtleneck.
The
Come on.
wine turtleneck.
Yeah,
like he just stepped out of Napa Valley.
Yeah. Should have a pinstripe turtleneck.
I have turned the corner.
Yeah.
I'm not just a sports geek anymore, okay? I'm going into a whole different direction.
Yeah.
And I have you guys to thank for giving me so much stuff on this show that I figured I've got to, expand my wings.
So you're doing hockey. You're doing sports, You're doing multiple TV things, you're doing radio hits, and now you're on the pages of every magazine that's out there.
The Met Gala is next.
Oh, there you go. See him at the Met Gala. And then you'll get the Kennedy Awards or something like that.
You finally realized I'm not just a voice and a pretty face.
You're multi-talented,
I'm glad you said that you're not just a voice and a pretty face, because he is certainly.
Well, let's not go with the face too much.
Okay.
Let's not.
For the sake, we'll be nice today. We'll say he's those things, but he's also got a big heart, because he raises money for Goldie's Gang.
Yeah.
So, well, look what I got. I've got a shirt that says "Let's go home, baby."
Oh, look at that!
And I'm told I paid for this, and the money.
He never misses a beat.
The money goes to Goldie's Gang, which of course is a great cause down here in South Florida. I had to bring it on.
Sometimes I think Goldie's Gang is his right front pocket. I'm just going to say
that is unbelievable, Cunha. Yes, I started, because people ask all the time for it, and the money, goes to families and kids to play sports. And honestly, we know how expensive it is, for people now with bills and you got to have your kids. I think, and you guys are the same way. It's so important for kids to play some kind of sport.
Goldie,
it's a team atmosphere, and learn to play with with others and take direction from a coach. So the money goes to help these kids.
Seriously, you've been doing that for years and years and years and years. And a credit to you and a credit to the people that work with your charity. And good for you. But
it's one of my favorite things.
Well, it just kind of smacked me in the face when I saw him in the magazine.
Yeah, I mean, look at that smile, though. All right, speaking of smacking and smacks to the face, what happened with the Heat last night? Let's move on to the show here. Cade Cunningham.
They didn't lose in another fourth quarter.
They did. Basically, at the buzzer, it couldn't get any worse for this team. They're now in a 9-game losing streak. They are ice cold, as they say. Guys, I can't believe I'm going to say this about a Miami Heat team that's got Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley running things, but right now they have a 5.3% chance to get the number 1 overall pick, who could be Cooper Flagg, 23.5% chance for a top 4 pick. So as we stand here now, Bo, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Should the Miami Heat load up into the tank and hit the tankathon and try to get that top pick?
The way they're playing now, they don't really have to try to get into the tank.
Right.
They are in the tank right now. I mean, look, you got Bam playing really well, you got Tyler playing really well, and that's it.
Yeah.
And now you've got a team that I think once they get into the fourth quarter, they're going, geez, I hope we can hang on. While the other team has been saying, hey, let's just get them into the fourth quarter and we'll run over them. So I think this is a hard place to get out of. Mm-hmm. And I think with the shortness of the remainder of the season, I don't think they're going to get much better. I don't see anything changing here. Right. You might win one game or two, but if they're hanging around that top 5 picks, I don't see a Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra team going out there and not trying to win every single game, no matter who is standing in that first pick.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Goldie.
I think it's a no-brainer to your shirt, Mike. The Heat need to say now, let's go home, baby, okay? Because even if they win the play-in, they're not winning a series.
No.
And with the job they've done, they need to find another Dwayne Wade. That's what they need to do. That's what, the turnaround has to be. So as hard as it is, even for me to say it, because even like you look at last season with the Dolphins, some people, just lose the game. No. I'm never on board with that. You always try to make it. Now the NFL is a little different because it's one and done. If you can get hot for 2 games, you could be in a championship game. I just look at the Heat right now, and as you guys said, they probably don't need to try to lose because they are. But it is shocking. Yeah. It is disappointing. And with only a month left 100%. Just suck it up, and at this point, get as high a pick as you can, because, like we said, the Jimmy Butler thing went south, and in that league, and the Heat know this better than or as well as any team, because they've always had superstar players. You cannot win anything in the NBA if you don't have at least one guy, and usually it's two guys, and they don't have any guys that are that good right now.
How much worse can it get when Tracy Morgan's watching the Heat and he throws up on the court? I mean, it can't get worse than that. Doesn't got to tell you a little bit how things are going, right?
Basically, I mean, kind of wraps it all up there.
Food poisoning, he said.
Yeah, they have at the time of this taping, they have 13 games left. They're well below 500. They basically, I think they have to maybe 11-2 down the final stretch to be 500 this season. It's so hard. To both your points, they need the superstar. Yeah. Bam and Tyler, they're a couple twos, maybe a 2 and a 3 type of guy. You need the big dog. They do not have a big dog right now on this team. No. All right. Before we wrap up this block, we do have the March Madness going on. So real quick, we'll get into brackets, but I'm just kind of curious, who do you guys have winning the big dance? Goldie, I'll start with you.
Well, I have Auburn winning it, but I'm going to give a big caveat, which really doesn't make sense because you only asked me who I have winning it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the way the Gators came down the stretch and played in an SEC tournament, and I know the obvious question will be, well, then why didn't you just pick Florida? Because back in January, I thought Auburn was going to win it, so I stuck with them. But I'll tell you what, the Florida Gators right now, to me, they're the hottest team going into this thing.
I'd say a lot of good guard play by the Gators, and they're hot right now. But you know who I'm looking at? I'm looking at St. John's. St. John's has bounced back 26 years since they've won the Big East tournament, and here they are. I guess they're still in the Big East. The Johnnies are here, and I think they're ready to make some noise. I mean, they've lost what, 3 or 4? I think 4 games they've lost, 26-4, something like that. And they came on strong towards the end. So I think they could be a little sleeper in here. Although they're a number 2 seed.
Yep.
They could, to me, with all the guys on top of them, a little bit of a sleeper for me.
Well, here's the interesting thing: is it could be the Gators and the Johnnies in the Elite Eight against each other to make it to the Final Four. So I think either way, I think they're both great stories, both teams. I think the St. John's is the better story. I think the Gators, Gold, in with you, I think they are the better team. All right, when we come back here on Game Changers, we're going to switch a conversation over to college football. Deion Sanders, the innovator, what he's got cooking for spring ball, that's coming up next.
It's pretty idiotic.
Really? All right, I could barely get through the tease before Bo shot down whatever it is Deion Sanders is cooking up in Colorado. So let me just set the table. He wants a change to spring football because we've seen some college teams, college football teams say, you know what, we're not going to have a televised spring game because we don't want people poaching our players. I get it. So Deion Sanders said, hey, why don't we take a page of the NFL book, do joint practices, and then have a joint spring game? And you hated it.
Well, he just wants the teams to come so he can pick them off right there. Let me take that guy and that guy and that guy. You
don't worry about leaving.
You can leave and just leave those guys here. I don't think it makes any sense. Look, you've got some teams right now that aren't even doing spring practice.
Right.
They've completely, spring games. They've completely, no, we're not going to do any spring games. Even you got teams that like Alabama puts 100,000 people in the city, and we're not going to do it anymore. Ohio State, all these teams are kind of getting a little concerned about that, so they're not doing the spring game. But I just, the travel that it takes, because you're going to have a busload of players coming back and forth, and I don't see it happening. And Deion got a different idea every week. So, and with the best idea, you could get out of that jacket right there.
Goldie, I think this is a good idea, Gold.
If you're going to do a spring game, I kind of like it from the standpoint of this, that it gives you another opportunity to get your team together. And could that be your recruiting tool? For example, Syracuse coach Fran Brown, who did an amazing job turning that dormant program around, he threw out there on social media, hey, Deion, if you want to do it, invite us. We'll come from Syracuse. So I think, if you're a guy like Fran Brown, that could almost be a selling point to players that, hey, we're going to go out here. It's another road trip. We can go one-on-one with it. So it's actually really interesting because, as you said, Bo, at a time where a lot of schools are just totally getting rid of the thing. You got Deion Sanders and a few others, Fran Brown. There's a couple of schools brought the game back. I wonder if while you recruit, it could be a little bit of a selling point that not only do we play the spring game, but we get on a road trip together. And you know this, these coaches are always analyzing their players, who the leaders are. I don't know, in some way, could it be helpful? It's a pretty intriguing idea because I've absolutely never thought about, and even though in the NFL, obviously, teams do the joint practices before the preseason, football games. They do it all the time in the NFL. Maybe they're trying to, emulate that.
I like the idea that you could have some what looks like meaningful football in the springtime, kind of breaks up,
Come on, you got the UFL.
Year. Yeah. The other thing I like about this is let's talk about sponsorships. Let's talk about advertising dollars. This could be an opportunity in the age of NIL where the entire team, every player top down, gets to make a check for being a part of this. So to me, I see a lot of possibilities here. I understand if there's injury concerns about are we going to go 100%?
I got to tell you.
That worries me because when you watch these other spring games, you see Nick Saban or Mario Cristobal right behind the quarterback. They can stop play. It's not exactly live bullets per se.
I got to tell you, literally when I was in college, the spring game for a lot of teams was you played the alumni. They would come out, they'd get all dressed up, they'd have kegs of beer on the sideline, and you'd play a spring game and you'd beat up on these old guys.
Now we're talking.
Let me tell you this, though. We mentioned Fran Brown on a serious note. Every coach needs to take this. Fran Brown is taking all the Syracuse players, where I think they're at about $5 million in NIL, and they're talking about getting up to $6 or $8 million next year. 40% of the NIL, this is a rule on the team he's trying to put in. 40% of your money that you get in NIL, you don't get it in your pocket. You invest it for your future.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That is what the college football coach should be. And that is leadership, because you're setting guys up who at 19, 20, you figure I made $1, let me spend $1. Fran Brown's going, no, if you're getting a couple $100,000, guess what? You're putting $75,000 into the stock market and you're investing it. I think it's amazing by that coach.
I think it's great. Absolutely.
I know Goldie did that because he looks like $1 million now. Still to come on Game Changers.
He's a big investor too. He's going to be on the Wall Street Journal, I think.
That's right.
Time we see
I wish I did it when I was 19. I wouldn't be here with you guys.
We're heading to space. Yes, outer space next on Game Changers. Let's play. Welcome back to Game Changers. Shout out to science, because we had a couple of astronauts stuck up in space for 286 days. They finally came back to Earth. They landed, and what do you know? There's a pod of dolphins waiting for them when they hit the water there in the Gulf. But this got us thinking. We start to formulate weird questions in our sports department. If you had to be stuck in space for 286 days with one athlete from any point in history, who would it be?
Oh, you didn't say that any point in history.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Leo, I got the question. I mean, I got the question from Leo Goldie.
Uncle Leo.
So it left a little clarification out of there.
Would you like me to start with Goldie so you have a second to rethink?
No, I'm good. No, I got my man.
Well, then let's go.
I got my man. I'm going with Shohei Ohtani. He's already out of this world the way he plays baseball. Right? You don't see it.
An H in
there. There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't spell it right. He's got the baseball cap on. He's got the Dodger jersey, and he's got the spaceship. If it's right, where is it? Right there or wherever it is. So he's my man that would go out. And look, if I went up there with him, I'd be happy because I'd be able to come back and speak Japanese.
There you go.
I would like that.
After 286 days, you can pick up a new language?
That's right. It probably, maybe take me a little more.
Could you hit a curveball after
I
spending 286 days with us?
That's why I went to football. In high school, the guy'd throw a curveball, I'd be laying on the dirt, and they'd call me to strike.
You know, I feel like you give me a lot of crap for being soft, and you're scared of a curveball.
Yeah, but I got back up again.
Okay. Well, I don't get back up. Goldie, who's your athlete?
My athlete is twofold.
Okay.
Number one, I'm going to find my inner peace. Now, I need to find my inner peace. The other thing is, with the athlete I'm choosing, I'm going to take him out of commission for the 286 days, because I don't know one person out there right now that actually likes Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
So I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers with me so he can get out of everybody's way for 286 days. So nobody has to deal with his selfishness and the nuttiness and where's he going to play and all the garbage. And maybe, just maybe, when I'm gone with him for the 286 days, he can stick me in one of those dark caves and I could sit there for like 10 days at a time. And maybe it'll help me mentally.
I think you want some ayahuasca and mushrooms, if that's what you want.
This is a load of garbage from Goldie. All this is the Giants fan looking for a quarterback. He gets 286 days to convince him to join New York. That's all that is.
Convince him to pull over. Convince him to go 100 yards over to the other locker room.
Yeah.
If I take him away, okay, the sports media, which spends like half their time just ripping the guy, you're going to have to come up with some other topics. That's the key.
Michael Wilbon would try to get up there and interview him.
Yeah, fair enough. I appreciate the hustle there, Goldie, on that, but you're not fooling anyone. All right, my athlete, by the way, is Ted Williams. And I probably went a different route than everyone else. Now listen, you're up there for 286 days. I want some stories. We need to kill some time.
You got Ted Williams up there.
The guy could hit everything. He was in the war. He's probably got some great war stories as well.
He's a pilot. Yeah.
He's a big fisherman, which speaks to my heart. He came down here to Florida to fish a lot. To me, he's checking off a lot of boxes.
He'd smell a little musty though up there, wouldn't he?
Why?
Well, because he's been dead for a long time.
I said any point in history. Okay. I said it could have been anybody. You obviously didn't get the moment.
Babe Ruth.
I told you. I got the information from Leo. I got nothing.
You got nothing. Babe Ruth. What was Babe going to do? Up there. Yeah.
He'd be too big for the spacecraft.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you just want to hang out for 286 days and listen to stories, Ted Williams is a great guy. Babe Ruth would be a great guy to get stories from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That's why I went this route. But no, you two wanted to do a recruiting trip, and this one's trying to go Duolingo and try to learn a language while he's up there. I appreciate you guys trying to get things done, but I guess we look at killing
Goldie
time
and I are a little more
ways.
serious than you. We want to educate ourselves a little more.
A little more, okay. I don't know what's more serious than a guy whose every picture of him is in black and white. More to come on Game Changers, how the Miami Marlins and the LA Sparks somehow crossed paths in the news cycle this past week. We'll get to that in a minute. Welcome back to Game Changers, the home of the Velvet Voice.
There you go.
There he is. Look at that.
Look at that. The vest.
Steve, I mean, the three-piece suit.
Unbelievable.
The red tie, the leaning on the bar.
Yeah.
Is this one of your places, Bo?
No.
Wow.
No. And look, if you could see the whole article, he gives you some fashion tips.
Oh, he does?
Yes, he kind of expands on the look. He talks about plaid and how, this, I mean, he's a man of the world right there.
They asked me to, let me tell you, okay? Those were some tough questions for me to answer because, I'm not really a fashion expert. Yeah. So but they posed me like that. They told me to put my arm there. I didn't do that on my own. I'm not that good. That.
I just want to know where he gets his suits because the thing, if I've learned anything from Goldie over the years, if it's free, it's for me.
Don't think he went to some guy, some clothier, and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be in a magazine. You want your clothes to be in the magazine?" I wouldn't put that past him.
Amazing.
But I'm gonna give him credit that he bought it half off.
Kim Bocamper literally must be wiretapping my cell phone. That's literally the call that I made. I said I'm doing a shoot in the magazine.
Of course.
Unreal.
Bro, we can read you like a book, man. I mean,
guilty as charged.
Okay. This has been a lot of fun. Let's have a little bit more fun. Before we wrap it up, the Marlins put out a post saying they were looking for maybe some former ball players, like a practice squad type of thing. And the LA Sparks were asking for men to come try out so they could practice against the WNBA team. Both these ideas have not been met with a whole lot of fanfare. Yeah. And I think for good reason. Should we just stop with this kind of stuff, Goldie? I don't know whose idea was worse, the Marlins or the Sparks.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because, you're going to do something like that. There's the risk in that of seeming like you're unprofessional and stuff like that. you need to go to like your league first, right? And say, hey, we're thinking about this. What do you think? And let them tell you privately, this is a bad idea. Or if you're the Sparks, you go to the players on your team and say, hey, are you even interested in playing against men in practice? And if one of the star players says, quote, I'm icked out, or I don't want to do it, why would you ever even let it get public? It's the same thing with the Marlins. MLB said, no, you can't pay guys $150 a day to come in and play. Like, before you go public with this stuff, why don't you check on it? Make a phone call.
Yeah, well, why don't you just stay on your own track? You play baseball, you play basketball. Yeah. You play in the WNBA, let the NBA players play in the NBA. Don't let the NBA players play. It's just, you know what, it's funny. You look at some of these sports now. Baseball, you got the guy to go to second base when it's going to extra innings. You got they're wanting to get the hero batter up there. Well, all these teams, they're trying to find little nuances and little gimmicks to make their game better. Just play the game the way it's been for years and years. The game that people love, instead of tweaking it every time you turn around. And football's the same way. I don't give them much more credit than anybody else for that.
Right, because you hate the spring game idea.
No, I don't mind the spring. I don't mind.
You played a spring game against alumni.
You darn right.
Okay, basically what we're doing here.
I was 19 years old. I took care of a 50-year-old pretty good.
You took a couple knees out?
I took a couple shots.
Okay.
You darn right.
That's just great. I want video of this. It's just you guys running into each other and then hitting the kegs after. Oh, well, do we have pictures? Leo got in my ears. We have pictures. I was like, I doubt it. Leo's lying to me in my ear.
Yeah, Leo has pictures of the San Jose State spring game from 1974.
That wasn't on national TV back then?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't even on the school TV.
Next time on Game Changers, the spring game from where did it go? San Jose?
That's right. Home of the Spartans. Come on.
I have a sweater that's San Jose State.
Yeah.
That's right.
You do. You've worn that on the show.
I know. You want to talk about a fashionista over here? I've got Let's Go Home Baby. I've got Spartan stuff.
Look, for all of these shows, Goldie right now is the king of the fashionistas, right?
He is.
I don't think there's any question about
that. Put that on a T-shirt. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here on Game Changers. This was a lot of fun. Hey, let's go home, baby. Let's wrap it up. See you next time.